All right, good morning. We're going to cover the loop-de-loop. Couple things. We talked about procedure, so this would be the same as if we were walking this course. We need to memorize the path of travel, job number 1. Identify what cones are dangerous for us, job number 2. And then, now that we know where it goes, we know what the danger zones are, we will look for the proper path of travel, job number 3. Then we're going to warm up, and then we're going to get on the bike. That is how we do all this. So this is a ritual that you're going to get into when you're on the bike, when you're at a motoric pattern. Path of travel, job number 1. So let's walk this thing. Okay, so I'm looking at this arrow that was in here on the pattern, so I'm assuming then we'll start here. I'm not going to comment on your path of travel, but yet. So come through here, 90 right, 90 left, into this clockwise U-turn, through here into a counterclockwise U-turn, up into this straight, figure 8, 90 left, into a U-turn right, into a, this is a tricky, kind of interesting area, into a U-turn left. This drops us into another figure 8, and we're out. Interesting pattern. I kind of like it. One of the things I like about it is there's mostly you know, the name is pretty good, loop-de-loop, because you're doing a lot of loops and not too much 90s. So now we're going to talk about identifying the danger cones in this thing. So the entry portion, definitely, because even if this were a 90 right or 90 left, which I don't know, so I'm just going to assume we're taking it straight, it's still tricky because you've got these look like pretty narrow chutes, so not a lot of wiggle room to play around. But I like your path of travel here, but we'll get into that in a minute. So you've identified these. This, not so much. I don't think this is really an issue. I would say no on that. This one you have identified, absolutely. This one I would say no. This one, absolutely. Then you're dropping into this. So these, for sure, you're exact dead on. These, no, not a problem. Why? They're tucked away in the corner. Now, if they were over here, absolutely. If this were moved over here, absolutely. Or if this was over here, definitely. But it's tucked away in the corner. You're not even going to get in there because of the way that thing's laid out. Once you drop in here, you've identified this one as well. Absolutely, absolutely. Then you come out of here. So this is a problem coming in and going away. So that's a tricky cone. This cone is a problem when you're in here. It's a risk. This cone is a challenge coming in, not so much a challenge coming out. It's this one coming out because if you're trying to avoid this, you're going to hit this. And if you're trying to get greedy and cut this thing too tight, you're going to hit this. So this is a tricky cone. Not an issue there. Definitely an issue here. You're exactly right. I cut off your path of travel here with my liquid paper, my error. Dropping in, absolutely a problem. This coming out, not so much going in. This while you're in, absolutely. Not an issue there. Definitely a problem here. Now let's take a look at this. So figure 8. So we have, that's going to be a problem potentially coming out. We don't want to hit that, but going in, not so much an issue. Definitely an issue going in. Obviously a problem there. Obviously a problem there. This cone here, problem coming out, maybe. Depends on our path of travel. I'd say yes. So I like that. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. This cone, since you're making a right, maybe not so bad. I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say yeah, be cognizant of it. But this cone's nothing like this cone as far as risk factor here. Okay. So also, let's see. Now we go through here. This, no, no, no. I don't give a damn about those cones. Yes, absolutely, this one's a problem. And now I'm cutting 90 left, so definitely that's an issue. Definitely these are danger cones here. Yep, for sure. Figure 8, absolutely these matter. And then I'd say, depending on where this goes, these matter or not. But taking them straight up and down, like you have it, not a problem. I'm not making a turning movement here, so I don't care about those. All right, so now we're going to talk about path of travel. This is where the rubber meets the road here. This is the real important part. Your entry point coming in here, I really like the way you've identified, okay, I'm going to make a 90 right. So rather than just taking a basic path of travel like everybody else does, you're making that little jog, and you're doing it in a nice smooth way. I like that a lot. And you're really pushing out here. You're really out here on the edge. That's great. You're going to miss this cone for sure, but also you're coming back on yourself. So again, once you've executed, so remember we talk about the turn starts here, right here, right? And look where your turning movement is. Your turning movement's before that. You're starting your turn here. So you're giving yourself, you're doing exactly what I demonstrate over and over again. So looks beautiful. I couldn't make a sexier sweeping line than you just did. So now coming through here, I wouldn't even change that line at all. Looks great. We're avoiding this cone. Now we're going to be dropping into here, right? So we talk about one smooth turning movement. So one of the things for me in this particular area, and I know muddy lines like we have here, and we're not actually walking it, it can be challenging to really articulate and differentiate between best line, close, blah, 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 yours versus mine. But I like where you are here. You're using the whole pattern here. This is a nice, smooth, sweeping line. I would hold this a little more. You did great. The only thing I would say is I would try and get myself more over here so that I'm also taking advantage of this, just like you did here and just like you did over here. So you're taking advantage of this nice long, you're fattening up the pattern as much as possible. I'd say we continue to do that over here and try to really get over here. Once you're in here, I like your line. I would probably push out here a little more. The reason is, remember, if you're tight to this side, you're going to drift far over here, and that's okay because you do want to be over here a little bit, but I just want to make sure I'm missing this cone and that I get a nice smooth arc. So I might push out here a little bit more. Could you do it the way you have it? Yeah, and I like that you are over here because, as we know, we're going to continue right. So that's good. It's almost 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But I do like your line. I just probably push out a little more for safety purposes and to try to keep this arc flowing. And then I would probably get a little closer to this cone and push myself. But if you look, I mean, we're doing virtually the same thing. I'm pushing out a little more, but it's pretty minor. It's pretty minor. But the thing I really want to do is I want to be over here a little bit more when I come out of this thing. That way I'm missing this cone, and I have a little bit more room to set up for this next section. But this is tight. It's pretty snug. So now I've come out. So this is all this turn is one turning movement. I'm going to push up here a little more than yours, but not much because I just really want to miss this cone. And sooner, like pretty damn soon, I got to get down here. And look, here you've done it again. You've pushed all the way over here, which looks great when you're coming out of here. So let's see here. Again, I would probably push a little further out here. But 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You're doing really good. Just push out a little more here because this cone isn't going to be a problem. So let's not get too greedy and let's push out to these outsides out here. That's going to move us in a nice place that we're definitely not going to have to worry about this cone, and push us nice and high like you are. Look at that. You're right where I want to be. So that's beautiful. Coming through here, I would probably stay I would probably make this one smooth arc. But again, my goal being I want to drop in. So look at that. That's exactly what you did. You dropped in here. We want to miss this cone. And these figure eights. This being a figure eight, I'm not going to be too concerned about my setup. Just like you look like you're just doing a regular figure eight here. Versus over here, we're kind of playing around with setup. Because we're going to be just executing a turn, coming out, turn, coming out. This is got to do a figure eight. So really it's only going to be an issue on the second circle because that's sending us somewhere new. So I like your path of travel. I'm fine with that. If you can make that turn, that's awesome. So knock that out. Now it's this one that's going to be really kind of key for us because we're going to be shooting through here. So again, I would probably want to swing out a little more than you have us. Why? Because I'm going to be coming through here and I want to, it's hard to see, but I want to shoot here. So I want to make this all nice and smooth, and I want to see, and again, this would be a practice day thing, but I want to see, can I make this pushing up here all one circle? Can I make this from say here, from this spot all the way to here? Can I make that one turning movement? So in order to do that, I really kind of push out a little bit here so that I'm keeping, because if I go too high here, I'm going to end up kind of straightening out a little before I drop back in. So I'm going to want to try to go a little deeper here to push me out all the way up here to that line, all the way here to that line, and now I'm turning, right? Potentially all the way here to that line. Potentially this is all one arc. And I know I'm, and again, walking it and seeing it, we'd have to figure that out. And I'm pushing obviously further than the pattern allows. So think about that. Can we do that? Can we start here and execute a turning movement? We go a little deeper here so that we can come in a little shallower, but really use that whole thing up, use that whole thing up, use that whole thing up, and come through here as virtually one movement. If we can do something like that, again, we're eliminating the amount of unsettling on the bike, we're eliminating the amount of math that we have to do, and we're really using all of the pattern, and it's smooth, really, really smooth. Okay, so let's see here. So we come out here. I would say probably go a little deeper. I would probably push out just a little further out here. I like where your line is here. I like where you are here. This is great. This is great, but I would push out a little more here. This here, no issues or complaints. Let's take a look at, okay, we're going to drop into a figure eight. So just like we talked about before, that first circle, I like your line. You're really using the pattern. These are flowing lines you've drawn. You were drawing much more straight lines and then turns. You're flowing a lot better here in this pattern, much, much better. So that's awesome. And what's great is that's where I know your head is at. So I know when you get out on the pattern, you're going to be starting to think about that when you're on the bike and smooth out your riding, which is very cool. It's pretty exciting. I'm excited to get you on the bike. So the first figure eight, we're dropping in. This cone's not really an issue if we're swinging out, and we're just dropping in nice and smooth. Tight figure eight here. Why? Because like I said, we're not just completing the circle and then immediately going to some other path of travel down here or finishing this and cutting over. We're just doing a figure eight. But it's this second circle that we have to be cognizant of. So because though, after this second circle, we're just blasting straight out of here, not so crucial. So your line here, which is not setting up, you're not setting up for anything here. You're not swinging wide to cut in. You haven't done any real math here. Why? Because you don't need to, because it goes straight out. So I like that on this figure eight, you just finish it off. You just boom, boom. It's nice and tight, nice and quick, nice and clean, because you're going straight down into another section that doesn't require any other adjustment or bike lane position. This one does require some lane position. And again, we're figuring out, we might be able to get this all into one smooth deal. If we can do something like that, that'd be good. All right. I would say 95%. Pretty damn good. Definitely the best you've deconstructed that I've seen. Well done, well done.